When this movie first came out, I was really interested because being from Kentucky, racism here and there is kind of an everyday occurrence. Now, welcome back, people of everywhere, for another session of R&R. And this week, we are going to be talking about the new Jordan Peele movie,
Get Out,
which stars Daniel Kaluuya, I apologize if I said that name incorrectly, Allison Williams, and Bradley Whitford. Now, what this movie essentially is there's this interracial couple, Chris and Rose, played by Daniel and Allison, and Chris is going to go meet Rose's parents for the first time. And he's a little sketchy about it, like, do they know I'm black? Are they going to be okay with that? And she's very reassuring, yeah, just come on, just come meet them, they'll be fine, they're not racist. And then once he gets to the house, everything seems pretty much okay until it isn't. And then you have your movie. Going into this movie, I was a little worried about it being directed and written by Jordan Peele, a guy who is most known as a comedic performer, being one half of Key and Peele, the popular sketch comedy show. I was worried that it was either going to have too much humor, which would bog down the rest of the suspenseful feel of this psychological thriller, or it was going to have no comedy in it, which would be odd coming from a comedic artist. But I was glad to see that he did a very good job of balancing the humor and the suspense. I was really surprised by how much I was laughing during this movie, especially coming from one of Chris's friends, played by Lil Rel Howery, a guy who works for the TSA and starts to wonder what's going on when Chris starts reporting back all of these strange things happening at his girlfriend's house. He was hysterical, coming up with all of these off-the-wall situations in which Chris is going to become a beheaded sex slave for these white people, and I was laughing almost any time he was on screen. He committed highway robbery with this movie. Every time this guy is on screen, he steals the show, without a doubt. He's hilarious. Now, to put it simply, all of the performances are good. All the performances are just fine. From Chris to Rose to the parents to the brother to all of the miscellaneous people, including the people who work at the parents' house. All the performances are just fine. I didn't have a single complaint with a single performance. What I also really liked was the fact that when they show up at these parents' house, they aren't just, sheep hugging, camo wearing, dip spit and rebel flag waving, wife being both their sister and their cousin. We don't like your kind around here, boy. It's nothing like that. It's more of a, oh, so you probably play basketball, right? Just assuming. Or, so, you're black. You must be very gifted. Stuff like that. So I was really glad to see that it was more of a subconscious racism and not a, this, you ain't welcome here, boy. Because that would have been too much. And from a first-time director like Jordan Peele, this movie actually looks really good. I was surprised by how well some of the shots were made and the type of vision that he had that was put so well into this film. I did, however, have some issues. The first of which being that there's a couple of things that just happen for no real reason. Like, in the trailer, you will see one of the guys who works at this house, and he's just full-on dead sprinting at Chris, and then just veers off to the left. And this is a stressful point. It's like, why did that just happen? But that's really the only reason that it's there, is to make you say, why did that just happen? Not even 5 minutes later, Chris comes up to this guy and just starts chatting with him. And the guy is just like, I apologize if my exercises startled you last night. That was not my intention. And it was like, is that it? Is that all we get? Is that the only explanation you have for this? And then there's another scene that is also in the trailers where Chris is getting attacked by like this deer head skeleton, and it's just like, bah! And he like curb stomps it, and that's not even in the movie. I was really interested what that was going to be, but it's not even there. And that is a big pet peeve of mine, when something looks really interesting in a trailer and it's not even in the final product. Perhaps the biggest problem that I have comes from the fact that as soon as the movie starts and I just give it a brief second of thought, I know what direction something is going to go. No spoilers at all, ever, I promise. But as soon as the movie starts and I started thinking about it, and not even very long, it just kind of hit me. The whole movie, I was like, no. Nope. Nope. Not gonna happen. They won't do that. So if you start to have that feeling right from the beginning about a specific thing that you think might happen at the end, you're probably right. And that is a little upsetting that it was that predictable. But overall, those things aside, this was a very enjoyable movie. I had a good time. The entire audience in the theater had a great atmosphere because the movie was so well written and the characters were so well realized that it just made the whole experience a good time. So, with all of that in mind, I'm going to have to give this movie a B+. There were a couple of things I had an issue with. One really big one that comes in the form of predictability. But other than that, go see this movie. It is original, it is very well written and very well directed and shot, and it just makes for a very good time in the movies. So, if you liked what you saw here, you can click down below on the like button, on the subscribe button, and maybe even leave a comment to let me know what you thought. And with all that in mind, I will see you guys next time.